From Hollywood, the Hollywood Radio Theater. Starring J. Carroll Nash and Susan Whitney in The Miracle of Fatima. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Irving Cummings.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. In October of 1951, 1 million people visited the little town of Fatima, Portugal, to commemorate the Miracle of Fatima. Warner Brothers has brought this impressive story to the screen not only with reverence, but with gentle humor, because it's also a very human drama. And as our stars, we are pleased to have that unique artist, J. Carroll Nash, and in her original role, a young actress who has a great future, Susan Whitney. Now, The Miracle of Fatima, starring J. Carroll Nash as Hugo and Susan Whitney as Lucia. Some 40 years ago in Portugal, a revolution occurred of the church. After 7 years of upheaval, churches in the remote districts were permitted to reopen. So it was in the little mountain village of Fatima.
Well, I was a young man in those days, the friend of all the world. I worked a little, robbed a little, and drank the good mountain wine. It was on a Sunday morning that I met the children on the road. Lucia and her 2 little cousins, the boy Francisco and his sister Jacinta.
In fact, you look so funny, Hugo. So much man on such a little donkey.
I have told you many times, Francisco, if the little donkey hears you talk like that, he's going to be offended. Now, where do you go on such a fine morning?
The sheep, Hugo. We're taking them to the pasture.
Look, Hugo, we brought lunch. Bread and cheese.
Oh, but that is not enough for Sunday. Permit me to provide the dessert. Here. For each of you, a fine apple.
Oh, thank you, Hugo.
You know, these beautiful apples nearly cost me my life.
What happened?
Well, I saw these apples in an orchard by the roadside.
I know. You stole them.
Who, me? Stole them? Oh, no. No, little one. The orchard belongs to a rich friend of mine. He had told me to help myself, but his dogs, they did not know that.
Dogs?
Oh, sure, there were 7 of them, 7 big mastiffs. And they were leaping at my throat, and there I was, all alone, and with my bare hands I fought them. Poor dogs, they never gonna leap no more.
You killed them?
Well, all except the biggest one. He lay down and cried like a little baby.
You tell such good stories, Hugo, but we know they're not true. You'd better ask Father Ferreira to forgive you.
Father, no priest for Hugo.
Why not?
Well, it's all right to go to church. Francisco for children is fine, but not for me.
Don't you believe in God?
Believe in God? Well, let us say that God, he doesn't believe in me. Now go on, take the sheep to the Cova.
Okay. Bye.
So it was that the children went to the pasture land that belonged to Lucia's father. And for what occurred that morning, there was only one word, the word of the children themselves. It began when the children sat down on the rocks to eat their bread and cheese.
What was that? There must be a storm coming.
How could it be a storm with the sky so bright?
I don't know, but we better head for home.
Dear, what's the matter? What are you looking at?
That cloud. Look how low it is.
It's just a little cloud, Lucia. No, it's all misty and foggy like. It's right over the little oak tree.
Look,
what's the matter?
There, in the cloud.
Oh, I don't see anything.
Don't be afraid, Lucia. I won't hurt you. Come closer. There, that's better. You're not frightened, are you?
Oh, no. Where does Your Excellency come from?
I am from heaven.
Who are you talking to, Lucia?
A lady.
But where is she?
There, over the little tree. Don't you hear her?
No.
Tell him to say the rosary. Then he will see me.
She says to say the rosary.
What is it you want of me?
I come to ask you to come here for 6 months in succession on the 13th day at the same hour. Then I will tell you who I am and what I want.
Lucia, I can see her now. I can see her plain.
Do you wish to offer yourself to God, to endure all the suffering He may please to send you, to help atone for the sins by which He is offended, and to ask for the conversion of sinners?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yes, my lady.
Then you will have much to suffer, but the grace of God will be your comfort.
My God, I love you.
Say the rosary every day to obtain peace for the world and to end war.
She's gone, Lucia. The beautiful lady is gone. But she'll come back. She said so, didn't she, Lucia?
Don't talk. Don't. It's too wonderful.
As I had been the last to see the children on their way to the Cova, so it happened that I was the first to see them walking back toward the village.
Hello, Hugo. Hello, Hugo.
Well, now, is that the way to greet an old friend? Hello, Hugo. Now, what is the matter, huh? What's wrong?
We saw a beautiful lady in the Cova, and she came from heaven.
Oh, from heaven, huh? Well, a stranger in these parts, why don't you introduce me? Maybe she needs somebody to show her around, huh?
She came on a cloud of light standing on a little tree, and she said we must pray to make God feel better.
Well, now, what is all these beautiful ladies in trees making speeches? I think maybe you stayed too long in the sun.
Well, we did see her, Hugo.
And she was from heaven. She was.
All right. Now, if you say it, I believe it. You saw a lady? Good. She came from heaven? Fine. Only let us keep it among ourselves, huh? A secret, huh? You tell nobody but Hugo.
Why not?
Well, because others, they might make fun of you. Say ugly things, maybe.
Hugo's right. We mustn't tell anyone.
Good. Now go on. Go on home. All of you, hurry now before you might lose your shoes. Yes, Lucia and Francisco kept the secret. But for the little ones, for Jacinta, it was too much. That night she told her mother and father what she had seen. And they rushed to the home of Lucia's parents.
Where is she, Maria? Lucia, where is she?
At this hour, children are in bed, Olympia.
All this excitement. Why? For what reason?
What reason? The vision, of course. The vision in the Cova.
Vision?
Yes, they saw a vision, Antonio. Jacinta and Francisco, and your Lucia.
Oh, what a wonderful thing. Our children chosen by the Holy Mother herself.
Holy Mother? What are you talking about?
Ah, there you are, Lucia. Come here, my little niece. Come, we have come to see you.
Lucia, Jacinta told everything. I didn't want to tell Lucia, but I had to. Now everybody knows about it. Everybody.
Come here, Lucia.
Yes, Mama.
Did you say you saw the Blessed Virgin in the Cova today?
I didn't say anything, Mama.
But we did see a lovely lady in the tree. Who else could it be? She didn't say who she was. I told you 100 times.
Now, who makes up these silly stories?
Jacinta and Francisco say it is true.
They have never lied to us, Maria Rosa. Never.
They saw the Mother of God.
In the Cova? But why would she come there?
Oh, are you all fools? Stories like this can bring the police to our door.
Lucia, tell your aunt and uncle that you put this nonsense into Jacinta's head.
But she didn't. It happened.
Tell them, Lucia. Tell them you lied.
I didn't lie, Mama. It's the truth.
Shame on you. I'll teach you the truth. Now you go to your room.
Later that night, the mother and father of Lucia went to the home of the village priest, to Father Ferreira.
She still insists that she is telling the truth?
Yes, Father, yes. As if the Blessed Virgin had nothing better to do than ride around in clouds and talk to children.
She was always a pious child, Maria.
Yes, I know. She loves stories of saints and visions. But now she's making them up herself. When I think of the blasphemy...
Just where is this Cova you're talking about? Oh, it's on my land, Father, a place where we graze the sheep.
And when does she say this lady of theirs is supposed to appear again?
A month from today.
But that's St. Anthony's feast day, a day the children love. No, I doubt if Lucia and the others will want to miss the fun here in the village.
Then your advice, Father...
Ignore the whole episode. It's just a game the children played. In a month, they'll forget all about it.
So a month went by, but the children did not forget. On the feast of St. Anthony, Francisco and Jacinto went to the Cova, but not Lucia. She went to the village with her parents for the celebration. Her heart broken, her eyes wet with tears.
Look at her, Maria, all by herself and still crying. It's wrong for a child to be that unhappy.
It is also wrong for a child to say she saw a vision. And you, her own father, to forgive a thing like this.
Hugo says that people have come here from 50 miles away. They're in the Cova waiting for the children to speak to the village.
It isn't enough that people are such fools, but if the government hears about this...
Well, maybe it is better this way. Nothing will happen, and then they will be ashamed to even think about it anymore.
Oh, let us hope so. Meanwhile, Lucia must learn her lesson, that she cannot... Antonio, what is it? What's going on?
The music and the merrymaking had suddenly stopped. An automobile had driven up. 2 men from the government. They looked at the crowd and called for Father Ferreira.
You, priest, you know who I am?
Administrator, yes, I know.
This is Señor Paris, the new magistrate Murai. Now, where are the children?
Children?
The children you've been using to stir up the people with reports of a vision.
Under the law, reports of miracles are a crime. Now point them out to us.
Oh, I know of no children who have seen the Blessed Virgin.
You're lying. One of them is called Lucia. Which is the child named Lucia? Señores, please. It is the government who is your friend, not the church or not the priest. Those who help the priest in this fraud will go to jail with him. Now, where are the children?
But no one spoke. Foolish visions were one thing, but to betray children, to endanger the priest, that was something else again.
I will give you 5 minutes. You will produce the girl Lucia, or the most drastic measures will be taken against this entire village. You are defying the law. Do you understand
Wait, senor.
Well.
Well, you ask for Lucia, senor, but which Lucia? We have dozens of Lucias here, Your Excellency. Every one of them can make up anything, from flocks of angels to devils on horseback. Now, senor, as for me, I think a lovely lady in a tree is fascinating because I like to climb trees.
Oh, be quiet.
My apologies, senor. I only try to point out that the government seems to believe in this miracle more than we do.
We will give you just one more chance. No one is to leave this plaza. We will question every one of you. Now line up in front of the church. Line up!
In all of the commotion, it was easy to slip away. And when I left, Lucia was with me. Lucia and...
Where are we going, Hugo? Where?
Well, to your house, little one. Better yet, to a neighbor's house, till all this blows away.
No, Hugo. No. Take me to the Cova.
To the Cova, huh?
The lady expects me, and it's almost time. Oh, don't you see? She must have sent you.
Me? An unbeliever?
Please, Hugo, please.
All right, little one. To the Cova it is. There were still people in the Cova, 15 or 20, and in front of the little tree, the 2 other little children.
Jacinto, Francisco! Lucia! Look, it's Lucia! In the cloud, it's coming again. It's coming toward the little tree. What should we do? Lucia's kneeling on the ground. We'd better kneel, too.
Dear lady, I knew you'd come back to us. I knew it.
You are unhappy, my daughter.
Only because of my mother, but not anymore. Tell us what you'd have us do.
Jesus wishes to use you, to make me known and loved throughout the world.
Lucia, Señora Carrera is here with the cripple boy. She asked us to speak to the lady.
Will you cure him, dear lady?
Her prayers shall be answered within a year.
When will you take us to heaven?
I will take Jacinta and Francisco soon. But you must remain some time longer.
You're going to take them? You mean they're going to...
Have no fear for them.
But why must they go? Why? Please, dear lady. Besides my mother, I love them more than anyone in the world.
Don't cry, Lucia. If you cry, then I'll cry.
Forgive me, my lady. I'll do anything. But don't take them. Don't leave me here alone.
Dear child, I'll be with you always. My immaculate heart will be your refuge and the path that leads to God.
She's going away. She's disappearing. And the cloud, it's gone.
Baby, little baby, what is the matter, huh? Somebody hurt you?
The lady said she was going to take Francisco and Jacinta.
You're going to heaven, she said.
And I don't want them to go.
Well, maybe you misunderstood the lady.
No, I didn't.
Oh, she was here, huh? The same lady?
She was, Hugo. She was here.
But no one else saw her, little friend. I looked very hard. All the other people back there, they was looking too, but nothing.
She came to us as she said she would. She said we're going to heaven soon.
Well, now, wait. Maybe she will change her mind. Ladies do, you know. Now come. Come with the Hugo, huh? The three of you come. We stayed far from the village until the administrator and the magistrate had gone back to Uri. When I brought the children home, Father Ferreira was waiting for them.
So you saw her again today, my child?
Yes, Father, yes.
What did she tell you?
The lady had told us the way would be hard. I didn't know what she meant then, but I do now. I thought you'd believe us, Father.
I may neither believe nor disbelieve until all the facts are examined. What else did the Blessed Mother say?
I didn't say she was the Blessed Mother.
But she was.
Jacinta, be quiet.
Perhaps you can tell us what the lady said, Jacinta.
She said we're going to die, Father. Soon. Not Lucia. Just Francisco and me.
Going to die? Lucia, you told them that. Father, you see what terrible thing she's doing. There's no end to this.
Lucia didn't tell us. It was the lady.
Stop saying such things.
Lucia, if you are lying, I implore you to tell me.
Oh, it would be so easy to tell you that I am. Then all I'd get would be a whipping. But I'm not, Father.
Look, child, you saw what happened today. The administrator, the magistrate, they made grave threats. If they come here again, soldiers will come with them. Do you want them to take me away, to close the doors of our church?
Oh, no, Father, no.
Then tell me the truth.
I've told you the truth. I swear it.
I believe you, Lucia.
That they saw the Virgin?
I believe they saw something. Good or evil, I cannot say.
Evil?
The devil comes to us in many forms, Lucia.
Oh, no, Father. Not the lady.
I'm going to write to the bishop and tell him. Until I hear from him, I don't want any of you to go to the Cova anymore.
No, Father. Never go again.
And let us pray to God to enlighten us all.
What's the matter, Lucia? Are you sick, child?
No, Mama. I just couldn't sleep.
Come inside before we wake the others.
You're angry with me?
No, I'm not angry anymore. Just worried, Lucia. Tell Mama. Tell me.
Father Ferreira said that the lady might be the devil. She couldn't be that. Could she, Mama?
Father Ferreira knows more about such things than we do. Surely the devil would want the church closed. He'd want to see Father Ferreira in jail, too, wouldn't he?
But if you only could have seen her as I did. If you only could have heard her voice. I can't stop thinking about her.
Oh, are you going to begin all that?
No, Mama. No, don't be mad at me. Even though I promised her to come, I'm never going to see her anymore. Never. I don't want you to hate me. I love you, Mama. I love you.
And I love you, my darling. Now close your eyes. Try to sleep. I'll be there, Lucia. My little bird. My poor, tormented baby.
In just a moment, we will continue with Act Two of the Hollywood Radio Theater. Make a friend, and you make an ally. There's a thought for you to keep in mind, as many another American has. That's a thought which the 4-H clubs of America had in mind when they began sponsoring the International Farm Youth Exchange. The main purpose of the IFYE is to select young farmers or those who've majored in university agricultural courses whom they send abroad for short periods to work with the people and promote understanding and friendship. Last summer, for example, 3 young California farmers were chosen to spend 4 to 5 months in Ecuador. While there, they visited farms, discussed agriculture with the people, and lent what assistance they could. The work of these grassroots ambassadors, as they are called, is voluntary, for although their trips are sponsored by the 4-H clubs in their neighborhood, the major portion of their expenses is paid by the young farmers themselves. Their work can in no way be considered charity because they learn as much from people in other countries as those people learn from them. Yes, members of the International Farm Youth Exchange have learned the secret of international understanding, that by helping others, you help your country. Now, our producer, Mr. Cummings.
Act Two of The Miracle of Fatima, starring J. Carroll Nash as Hugo and Susan Whitney as Lucia, with Jeanette Nolan as Maria.
Yes, the poor unhappy child had told her mother that never again would she look for the vision of the lady. But not Lucia and not Maria could control the imagination of the people. Word of a miracle flew like leaves in a wind. From all over Portugal, the pilgrims came to Fatima to visit the Cova and pray before the little oak tree. And then a wonderful idea came to me, and I brought it to Lucia's father, to Antonio.
You are my dear friend, Hugo. You alone would think to buy me wine in my hour of such problems.
Well, we drink another bottle, huh? Hey, Salazar, more wine for Antonio. Everybody goes crazy, Antonio, except you and me. But if they wish to believe fairy tales, that is their business.
Hugo, what the children say, maybe it's true.
Antonio, you are a grown man.
Well, all I know is that on the 13th day of the next month, you will see thousands here in Fatima.
Exactly, my friend. And who am I to argue against the belief of thousands? My dear Antonio, heaven has sent us our own private miracle.
Help me, Hugo. Comfort me.
Then listen closely. You own the Cova, and I am your dearest friend, your partner. So we will charge each and every one a small fee to see the Virgin, huh? Think what a good deed we're going to be doing.
No.
Oh, Antonio, be sensible.
You don't even go to church. You would try to cheat God himself.
But God owns such a big world, Antonio, and we got so little of it. Now, look, Antonio, first thing we do, we build a gate, a fence, and in the morning...
No.
Oh, Antonio, we're going to be rich. We will be popular.
I will drink a little more wine and think about it, but the answer will still be no. Such a thing would be a sin.
But I have sinned all my life. You think God will care if I sin just a little bit more?
No. Hugo, I am frightened.
Right, and all my life I have been cursed with good friends who are religious. It is a great burden.
Antonio, Hugo, come quickly.
What, more visions, huh? More angels playing the harp?
The church, the administrator is closing the church.
Closing the church?
They are nailing the doors up with boards. There are soldiers with rifles on the steps. Now hurry.
3 little children have caused all of this. I have just decided to be a bachelor for the rest of my life.
Perhaps now your people will believe us, Father Ferreira. We warned you on St. Anthony's Day, but you would not listen.
The children have done this stupid thing because you told them to. You and your bishop.
Your Faith, please. Why would we plot such a thing when we knew it would only bring disaster upon us?
Then your bishop does not sanction these reports of the vision?
It is you who sanction them, Horace. Can't you see that by closing the church you have made these people believe that the vision must be true.
It's been reported that the Virgin will again appear on the 13th of next month.
I give you my word that every priest in Portugal will tell his people to stay away from Fatima.
Good. Then we'll see how well you priests can control them. If there is no hysterical mob here on July 13th, we'll allow you to reopen your church. So, you see, it is now in your hands, Father Ferreira. Good day.
But on the 12th of July, the people again were pouring into Fatima. And that night, the parents of Jacinta and Francisco struggled through the crowds to the house of Lucia's parents.
I never thought we would get here. Such crowds, such questions. Listen to them. Listen to the fools.
I stand around my house. I look into the window, all for a glimpse of Jacinta and Francisco.
Where are they?
Hiding under the bed, and the doors of my house are locked.
Never have we had to lock them before.
Tomorrow there will be thousands at the Cova.
The priests have warned the people to stay home till our church could be opened again, but still they come. The whole country gone mad.
Perhaps the Blessed Virgin wants them here, Maria.
That I will never believe. Neither does Lucia believe it. She won't stir out of the house tomorrow. Come here, Lucia. Tell them yourself.
I will not go to the Cova. I'll stay at home.
But Francisco and Jacinta, what will they do without you? Oh, Maria, you are making a great mistake.
I also believe as you do, Martha, but what can I do?
Enough. Father Ferreira said the children should not go.
But who saw the lady? Father Ferreira? No. The children saw her. And I believe what they tell me. Maria, the child is crying.
Lucia will keep her promise to me until the church is opened again.
Do what you want, Maria. My children will go to the Cova tomorrow.
And late that night, in her torment, in her helplessness, Lucia slipped away from her house and went to the Cova. As she ran down the road, she saw many pilgrims asleep on the ground and others who sat in the darkness, waiting for the day to come. No one knew her. To them, she was just a sad little girl who knelt by the tree and prayed.
Oh, my lady, help me. Won't you please tell me how I can keep my promise to you without hurting my mother? One little sign, just so I'll know what to do. Show me your face. Help me, my lady.
Maria, she's gone. Lucia's gone. She's not in her bed and her clothes are gone.
Maybe she went to water the sheep.
No. I looked. She's not out there. She's not with her cousins either. I called him Marto, and he said he hasn't seen her since last night.
You are thinking of the Cova. No, Antonio. She promised me.
But then the plaza, the square then, in front of the church.
If she's out in that crowd and they find out who she is, call the neighbors. Tell them they must help us find her. No, I will go. If she comes back, don't let her leave. Lock the doors. Keep everyone out.
It was scarcely more than daylight, but a portion of the crowd was already plodding toward the Cova. And it was there that Maria finally found her, Lucia, asleep on the ground.
Lucia! Oh, my baby, my darling. Thank God. Why did you run away from us?
But I didn't, Mama. I meant to come home, but I must have fallen asleep. I'm so sorry, Mama. Forgive me.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'll go home now.
You want to go home?
Oh, no. No, but I promised you I'd...
You would rather stay here. Then stay, my child. Please, just leave us alone. Don't touch her. Just leave us alone.
All during the morning, Father Ferreira pleaded and begged, but in vain. The people would not listen. They had come to the Cova to witness a miracle, and there they would remain.
You have been deceived. You will not find Holy Mother here. You offend her, believing she would show herself to a crowd in a field. Go home. Go home and beg her forgiveness.
They ignore you, huh? Well, I warned you, priest.
Sure. We did all we could to prevent this.
I have a troop of cavalry waiting down the road. I promise you that by noon this field will be empty. And as for you, you are under arrest.
There was pity for the priest and anger for the government, but the crowd would not leave. And when the troops came and tried to ride them down, it was the people who routed the soldiers. And when the hour of noon arrived, a great silence hung over the Cova. Thousands of people stood motionless as they watched the children fall to their knees and turned their faces toward the little cloud that hovered over the oak tree.
Are you there, dear lady? We're in such terrible trouble.
You are enduring these hardships for the conversion of sinners as atonement for sins committed against God. If the people do not cease to offend him, another and worse war will break out. When you see a strange light in the sky, you will know it is a sign that the world is about to be punished for its crimes. In Russia, there is an evil scheme to destroy the peace on earth. To prevent this, I ask that she be converted. If not, she will cause wars and persecutions. Good people will be martyred. Many nations will be destroyed. If what I say is heeded, many souls will be saved, and there will be peace. It is necessary that people amend their lives. Let them offend our Lord God no more.
Ugo, do you hear anything?
Only a sound like the wind in the trees.
But there is no wind. The whole earth is still.
My lady, the people can't see you or hear you as we do. Many of them don't believe that you appear to us.
In October, I will give them a sign that will make them believe.
It was the same thing all over again, the three children swearing that they saw and heard the lady. But no one else had seen anything more exciting than a cloud, a tree, and the hot sun. And yet throughout all Portugal they did nothing but argue and debate about it. But for a whole month the officials bothered no one. Then, on August the 13th, the administrator drove his automobile to Lucia's house to meet with the parents.
You're not very happy to see me, are you? Well, I don't blame you. But I think that will change when you learn that your priest has been released.
Father Ferreira is back?
I've just come from his house. And you know who else is there? The bishop.
Maria.
And the bishop would like to speak to the children before they go to the Cova. He wants to see them now, so I offer to come and get them.
But we can take them, Senor.
Fine. Of course, if the bishop is to speak to them before they go to the Cova, there is not much time, is there? It will be much quicker in my automobile.
If the children leave here, we will take them, Senor.
You want your church reopened, don't you? I prefer they come with me.
Senor.
Now, if the bishop agrees to sanction these miracles, and if he agrees to accept our responsibility for whatever happens, the government will give you back your church.
And everything will be as it was?
Just as it was.
Maria, we must let them go.
Yes, I agree.
Let him take the children to the bishop. Imagine, to see the bishop in an automobile.
For simple people, you do not require a clever trick. The children were taken, not to the bishop, but to the magistrate's office in the town of Ure. And the questioning began.
You children have perjured yourselves and incited people to violence and riot. Now, what have you to say about it, huh?
We're very sorry, Senor.
It would be a terrible thing to send children to prison, never to see your mothers again.
But you can help us not to do it. Simply confess that the priest told you to spread these silly stories about a lady from heaven, and we'll let you go. You see how easy it is?
But he didn't. The priest said it was the devil. And we did see a lady, and she did talk to us. And she said we would suffer for her.
Now suppose that instead of locking you up in prison, we were to take you to the shops and buy you fine new clothes, wonderful toys, anything you want. Now, wouldn't that be nice?
You don't have to pay us to tell you the truth, Senors.
We do it for nothing.
Now, you listen to me. Sometimes when people don't answer the way they should, the police have ways of making them. How would you like to be dropped into a kettle filled with boiling oil, huh? How would you like that, huh?
I don't think we'd like that, Senor.
That's exactly what will happen unless you admit you lied. Well?
We've only told the truth, Senor.
Very well. Come in, Captain. Get your soldiers and throw them in the dungeon.
They had no intention to harm the children, simply to terrify them into confessing. So it happened that a few moments later, they found me waiting for them in the jail.
Hugo, look! It's Hugo! Hugo, you've come to save us.
Well, not exactly, but I...
But how did you get here?
Well, there was soldiers in Fatima, little one. 10, 12, 14 soldiers. And when I find what they have done to you, I charge them all alone by myself with my 2 bare hands.
You know, this time I think you're telling the truth.
Forgive me, please. I think there was only 3 of them. Maury was beautiful while it lasted. Now I got to spend 15 days in jail. But you here. Now they are putting children in prison?
First he was going to boil us in oil.
Boil you in... Did he say that?
Don't worry, Hugo. He didn't do it.
And this is the day the lady from heaven is to come.
Now she'll think we didn't keep our promise.
Oh, I see.
And we'll never get to see her again.
Now, don't cry, baby. What do you want, huh? Tell me what you want, and I will do it.
I want to go home to my mother.
Oh, that's one thing I cannot do now, but, well, give me time. Give me time to think, and don't worry. Hugo will not let them hurt you. Only that is not enough. How am I going to get you out of here? How am I going to get you out? And as I sat there struggling with this great problem, upstairs in the magistrate's office, a colonel of the army had just arrived from Fatima.
Well, what are you so excited about?
There's no use, senor. The people in Fatima, they refuse to disperse, children or adult children. The cova is jammed, and they are all praying.
Oh, this ridiculous praying. A volley over their head will shut off their prayer.
Do you want a riot on your hands, senor?
Then what do you propose, Pais?
I propose to let the children go.
No, not until they have confessed.
Oh, I should have thought of this a long time ago. Now listen to me. The credibility of their crazy story depends upon a miracle that's guaranteed to convince everyone. But there will be no miracle. And the whole affair blows up in their faces.
You expect me to tell that angry mob it was all a joke, putting those brats in jail?
And I'll tell them, but release the children. Give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
Oh, do what you want, just get them off my hands. But the lady promised no miracle today, not until October.
And we will wait till October. Then, when the mob realizes how they've been deceived, they will settle this problem for us. Yes, my friend. We will give the children back to the people.
In a few moments, we'll continue with Act 3 of The Miracle of Fatima.
Make a friend, and you make an ally. There's a thought for you to keep in mind, as many another American has. Recently, the Institute of International Education in Los Angeles, California, opened an office for its new affiliate, the Center for International Students and Visitors. When foreign visitors, sponsored by public or private groups, visit Los Angeles, the center provides them with help in seeing and learning the American way of doing things. It's been found that, for the most part, visitors would rather see how Americans live rather than how they make money. Within a recent 2-month period, the center was host in one way or another to a Finnish publisher, a French director of police, a Malayan journalist, a United Nations delegate from India, a director of education from Iceland, a German lawyer, a Korean editor, and an Austrian composer. Visitors usually stay from 2 days to 3 weeks, and when they return to their own countries, they take with them a clear and honest picture of how Americans live, thanks to an organization which has dedicated itself to the spreading of world amity, an organization which has discovered that by helping others, you help your country. We pause now for station identification.
The curtain rises on Act 3 of The Miracle of Fatima, starring J. Carroll Nash as Hugo and Susan Whitney as Lucia, with Jeanette Nolan as Maria.
it was that the children returned to Fatima. So it also was that on the 13th of September, the lady again appeared to them, but only to them, and again from a cloud that hung low over the little tree in the cova. But what everyone was waiting for was the day when the miracle would happen. For this, Lucia said, would happen.
Look at me, Hugo. You haven't prayed in years, have you?
Well, I told you once, little one, for some people, praying is very fine. I recommend it. But for Hugo, no, I don't think so.
You're angry at Papa, aren't you? Because he won't let you sell tickets at the Cova?
But how I can be angry with my dear friend, my partner? Besides, I have something better now than tickets. Rosaries, little one. Boxes full of rosaries, and only Hugo will be permitted to sell them on your father's land.
You'll make a lot of money.
Well, is there something wrong with that?
I'm not sure. If only you believe. But when the lady does the miracle, then you'll believe, won't you?
Well, I believe, baby.
Oh, no, you don't. You like me, but you don't believe.
Lucia, we are very good friends, huh? Maybe you'll tell Hugo what kind of a miracle the lady is going to make.
She didn't say what kind.
Oh, only when, huh?
Yes, on October the 13th. Tomorrow.
Never in the history of our mountains had there been such days as these. The people, the crowds, young, old, rich, poor, strong, weak. And all of this because of 3 little children. This indeed was the miracle in itself. Among those who made the journey to Fatima was the bishop. And on the night of October the 12th, he summoned the children before him. The children and their parents.
Lucia, you know, do you not, that there are tens of thousands of people here tonight because of your claim?
Forgive me, but we didn't ask them to come.
My child, you don't seem to realize how difficult it is for these throngs to get here. A desolate place on the top of a mountain. No place to sleep save on the ground and in the rain. Many bring their sick, hoping to have them healed by the merciful one. Mothers come with prayers for their sons in the war. The poor will be hungry, and there are no loaves and fishes here to feed them. Some may even die. And for all this, you children are responsible. Did Our Lady ask for that?
No, Senor Bishop, no.
You have said the Mother of God predicts another great war, and still more wars.
I only know what she told me, Father Ferreira.
You see what nonsense this is. Tomorrow all these people will be waiting for a miracle.
The lady will keep her word.
But if it should fail, if that great crowd has cause to think that you've lied, it will become an angry mob. And then, God help you all, this is what your enemies are hoping for. But even now, it may not be too late. Even now, they will forgive a child if she confesses her sin.
But I haven't sinned. I haven't sinned.
It is no use. Father Ferreira, take me to your church. We will pray together for guidance to aid these poor.
They've gone, Lucia. It's all right. It's all right.
They don't believe me, Mama. They don't believe.
We believe you, Lucia.
We'll go with you to the Cova tomorrow. If there is no miracle, the mob will have to walk on me before they get to you. But no more tears, my little bird. No more tears.
This way to the Cova, Senores. Buy yourself a new rosary at wholesale prices. There are no rosaries sold at the Cova. I have also for sale a few more branches from the holy tree that held Our Lady. Take one home, Senores. Enjoy your own visions. Rosaries and branches, Senores. Rosaries.
Move on ahead. Come, Francisco. To the little tree.
No. Stay close to us and to Father Ferreira. These pilgrims will grab you for souvenirs.
Lucia, if it keeps on raining...
It doesn't matter. Do you think it rains in heaven?
No, but if it does...
Well, heaven is where Our Lady is, and she'll come to us no matter what happens.
Lucia, you say this lady of yours is supposed to appear at noon?
She's always come at noon, Father.
The crowds on our way here to the Cova delayed us longer than we thought. Look at my watch, Lucia.
It's past noon. It's past 12 o'clock.
Exactly. You know what this means? It means that nothing is going to happen. I want you to leave this place now.
I can't go, Father. The lady said she'd be here.
You have done harm enough. Do as I tell you.
Father, this land is not much, but it is mine. You have no right to order my daughter away from here.
This is the spot here, before the little tree.
Can we pray now, Lucia? Can we start now?
Pay no attention to the people, Jacinta. Let them do as they wish, but we will pray.
Again they were on their knees, and the moments went by, and nothing happened, but the children did not move. The crowd became restless. They had been here for hours, and all for nothing, and angry voices echoed against the hills. And then those closest to the children saw them smile, and they heard the voice of Lucia.
We knew you'd come to us, dear lady. What do you want?
The crowd was suddenly silent. Just the falling of the rain.
I want to tell you that war is going to end, and soldiers will return to their homes. Do not fear. In the end, God will triumph.
You said you'd tell us who you are.
I am the Lady of the Rosary.
Queen of the Most Holy Rosary.
The crowd was stirring again, for all they saw was a child talking to the empty air.
You see, Senor Administrator, it would be as I said.
They better pull some sort of miracle out of a hat, or this farce will become more tragic than we thought.
Well, they can't say we didn't try to stop them.
Holy Mother, you promised to give us a miracle so the people will believe.
They will believe, my child.
She's going away. Dear lady, no, don't go. Lucia, why is she going? Why is she leaving us so soon?
She promised a miracle. Jacinta, Francisco, look. Look at the sun.
The sun is coming toward us. Through the rain. The sun.
This I saw with my own eyes. The sun in the heaven rushing toward us, turning itself like a wheel of flame. And a great terror was on the people. They screamed, they prayed. Some could not move, but stood like stone and stared in the heavens. Others flung themselves on the ground. A blind woman shouted that she could see again. A cripple dropped his stretches. And then the sun halted in its course and drew back deep into the heavens. The children now turned toward their parents.
The lady kept her promise, Mama.
Look, the rain has stopped. Our clothes are dry.
Yes, it is dry. Maria, it is dry, like dust.
My coat is dry.
We stood in the rain, Papa, but our clothes are dry. Mama, Papa, now you believe?
I think now that even Hugo believes.
Hugo?
Only the fool says there is no God. All this, as I have said, happened long ago when I was a young man. In 1917, the people of Fatima built a simple arch in the Cova. But now, on that very spot, there stands a magnificent basilica. And on October 13, 1951, 1 million people from all over the world gathered there to do homage to Our Lady of Fatima. And I was among them. In the basilica, in this sacred spot, Francisco and Jacinto lie in their eternal sleep, while through the years their friend Lucia has devoted herself to holy service. Are you happy, Lucia?
More than I can tell you.
To think that the faith of you 3 children has brought 1 million people to Fatima.
It is their own faith that brought them, Hugo. Their yearning for peace on earth. If the people of the world will pray,
as Our Lady asked him to. God will send us peace.
Of that, I am assured.
In a moment, our stars will return.
Shortly after World War II, some Army officers in the Philippines took the time and trouble to find out that their houseboy had one burning ambition, one desire in life, and that was to come to the United States and study for the Baptist ministry. Well, they took it upon themselves to do a lot of corresponding and arranging, and they finally obtained a 4-year scholarship for him at Eastern New Mexico College. Then the Woman's Missionary Union heard about the boy, and they offered him a 2-year seminary scholarship. But there was still a mighty important question, the question of raising $440 for his passage to the United States. And it was in an Army chapel that Catholic, Protestant, and Jewish servicemen joined together to collect the funds so that this boy might become a Baptist minister. Such acts by you and your friends today are shaping our world of tomorrow. Now, Mr. Cummings with our stars.
And here they are to accept our thanks for an inspiring evening. J. Carroll Nash and Susan Whitney. And you've added another excellent characterization to your repertoire, Carol.
Well, if you like, I'm like it too.
For heaven's sake, why are you using a dialect?
Maybe too much Luigi.
No, it's not that, Susan. It's just that everyone thinks I'm a Latin. They just won't believe that I'm Irish. So I naturally lapse into a dialect at times. And come to think of it, Susan, it's all Irving Cummings' fault.
That's right, Susan. Many years ago, I directed Carol in a picture called Down Argentine Way. He had his first part with a dialect and was a great hit.
Mamma mia. Well, well, that was your fault, too, because, Irving, you were so successful as a director. But, Susan, let me give you a little advice. If you don't want to carry your birth certificate with you wherever you go, you stick to your native language, huh?
Believe me, I'm having a hard enough time at school with the English language, but I do want to be a versatile star when I grow up.
But, Irving, I'd like to ask you one question.
What is it, Carol?
What are you going to do the program next week, maybe, huh? Is it going to be good?
Well, this being spring and all, we're going to bring you one of the most delightful comedies ever produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. It's Angels in the Outfield. And the stars of this hilarious story will be George Murphy, and in their original roles, Janet Leigh and Donna Cochrane.
Oh, I'm going to love that. Good night.
I'm too. Well, good night, Irving.
Good night.
Theater is produced by Mr. Irving Cummings. Our orchestra is under the direction of Rudy Schrager. This is Ken Carpenter inviting you to join us next week at this same time for another presentation of the Hollywood Radio Theater. Hollywood Radio Theater is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service. Family Theater presents Anne Blythe and Macdonald Carey. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with Family Theater, presents transcribed Mother of All, a special Mother's Day program starring Anne Blythe and Macdonald Carey. This is the story of a mother like her own. She was gentle, tender, forgiving, a woman who put the interest of her family above all other worldly consideration. And yet, because of something that happened to her only son, this woman suffered the greatest sorrow that a mother can know. Our story begins long, long ago in a small, conquered country on the shores of the Mediterranean. It was the season of the winter rains. They blew down from the mountains in great icy sheets and clogged the narrow roads leading south to the capital. It was a poor time for traveling, but this was a conquered country. And an order had gone out from the conquerors that a tax, another tax, was to be levied against each household in its city of family origin. So the conquered people took to the muddy roads, some alone, some in caravans, all who were required to make the journey, even if among them there happened to be an expectant mother.
How do you feel?
A little tired, I'm afraid.
We can stop and rest if you like. We can't be far now.
Oh, perhaps we shouldn't. I have a feeling it will be soon.
Oh, don't be afraid. I'll find us a place. As soon as we reach town, I'll find one.
I know you will. I'm not afraid.
Isn't much, I know, but... well, at least it's dry and out of the wind.
Oh, it's just fine. You mustn't worry.
Tomorrow, before the registration begins, I'll go back into town and find a better place.
You needn't do that.
Oh, but it seems so wrong for you to be here. Especially now.
You mustn't blame yourself for that. If he is to be born here, it is God's will.
But not like this. Not so much as a place to lay his head.
Oh, we will find something. What? Isn't that a feeding trough there by the entrance?
Part of one. Half the slats are broken. I suppose I could patch it up to serve temporarily.
Oh, of course you can.
And the straw. That could be a pillow for him.
Hurry, Joseph.
Yes, of course. This rickety thing is all warped to pieces.
Will you be able to fix it?
Yes, but you'd think the carpenter who built this would know you can't use green wood to make a manger.
And thus he was born, her only begotten son, born into a world of tension and sorrow, a world that had turned its back on love and peace and kindness. Every mother, upon first seeing her newborn son, envisions him for a moment grown to manhood. She looks into his round, tiny eyes and sees his whole future, the triumphs, the failures, the joy, the heartbreak. For an instant, it is all there. But on that night long ago, could the young mother in the stable, for all her pride and happiness, feel a sword pierce her heart as she gazed at her infant son? As he gurgled with delight and nestled in her arms, his eyes shining with love for her, could she see his face, as she would see it years later, twisted in agony and sorrow, every feature disturbed by pain? All but the eyes, which would never cease to shine with love, even at the last hour, when the earth grew dark and the angry mob jeered at him.
Why don't they kill him and get it over with? He can't last much longer. He's been hanging there for 3 hours.
Look how dark it's getting.
Yes.
10 minutes ago, there wasn't a sign of rain.
I don't think this means rain.
What do you mean? Say, you aren't beginning to believe all those stories about him.
I don't know what to believe.
Woman, be sensible. He's a blasphemer. Everything he's done is blasphemy.
Is it? He healed the sick. He fed the poor. He told people to love each other.
That's not the point. He claims to be God.
I think he just said something to that young man, the one with his mother.
What's she doing here? Most mothers couldn't stand it.
She just keeps looking at him. I don't know.
I tell you, there's something wrong with this. He could have run away, but he didn't. He could have gotten off with just a flogging, but he didn't.
Oh, he's a fanatic.
Look at his face. Is that the face of a fanatic? He looks almost content to hang there, as if it were the only reason he'd been born.
Look, he's lifting his eyes to the heavens, and his lips are moving.
No, he's lowering his head. It's all over.
I've never seen the sky so dark.
Look at the faces in the mob. Look at them. They're frightened. Every one of them frightened but her. All but her.
Who? Who do you mean?
His mother. Can you see her? She's stopped crying. He's dead, and she's finally stopped crying.
That's strange. It's usually after death that the crying starts.
Maybe that's the reason his mother stopped crying after he died.
What do you mean?
Maybe she knows that from now on, he'll live forever.
From the first until the last, the mother had stayed with her son. All through the happy years of his childhood, during which he grew strong and full of wisdom, the grace of God within him. And later in manhood, when he went forth to be about his father's business, in spirit, if not always at his side, his devoted mother was with him. And now, at the third hour, as they take him down from the cross and lay him in her arms, she looks again, as years before she had, at his closed eyes, and sees, this time, neither suffering nor sorrow, but only his eternal glory in heaven. And pain stabs her heart no longer, for she remembers his words from the cross.
Mother, behold thy son. Son, behold thy mother.
Her son had left her, whereas before she had been his mother. She is now mother to all his followers for all generations to come. She is our Mother Mary. The years went by swiftly after that. Her advice and counsel were sought and freely given. But at length, the time comes when she must join her son in the kingdom he has prepared for her. So at the last, surrounded by the apostles, and knowing that her hour of death and triumph is at hand, Mary makes a solemn promise.
John.
Yes, Mother Mary?
Ask Simon Peter and the others to draw closer. I want to tell them something.
We are all here, Mary. What is it?
He, my beloved son, can refuse me nothing. I have only to ask. Remember then, whatever help is needed, whatever special strength, who prays for it in my name will not go unaided. He has promised.
We will remember, Mary.
John.
Mother Mary.
John. My time has come. I will find him whom my soul loveth. I will hold him, and I will not let him go.
In the words of the angel Gabriel, All the world salutes the mother of all. The mother who could not be separated from the Son had at last risen to heaven, to the throne of glory that he had prepared for her. But what of Mary's promise? For she is our mother as well. Has our mother been true to her word? Has she forgotten her children here on earth? In December 1531, a persistent Indian convert, one Juan Diego, returns to the palace of the Bishop of Mexico and repeats a fantastic story to His Excellency.
But Excellency, is true. I swear it.
You were on your way to church?
And the hill that is called Tepayac, it was just at dawn.
And it was then the lady first appeared to you?
No. First came the music, Excellency. Beautiful music. And then I heard her voice. Juan Diego, she called. Juan Diego. It was then I turned and I saw her, just like I told you yesterday. The lady appeared again today and said she wanted a temple built on Tepayac and that I should tell you.
And this lady repeated that she was the mother of God?
Those were her words. And then I told her that you did not believe me and wanted some proof, some sign.
And she gave you proof?
But she did, Excellency. She said I should go to the top of Tepayac and gather the roses growing there.
Roses? Growing in December?
But they were there, Excellency. And when I had picked them and returned to the lady, she arranged them neatly in my tilma. This sack here. Look for yourself.
In heaven's name.
Are they not beautiful?
It cannot be. Juan, what is that picture painted on the inside of your tilma?
picture? But I have no... It is an image of the lady herself, exactly as I saw her.
As our mother remembered her promise to us, her children. It is July 18th, 1830. In a Paris convent, during a time of convulsive political unrest that rocks all Europe, a young novice, Catherine Labouré, kneels in prayer, and to her the merciful Mother of God appears.
My child, it is through you that I will bestow graces on those who will have them. Strife will soon occur. The world will be drenched with sorrow, but I will be with you. Have courage. Special graces will be given to all who ask, but people must pray.
Has our mother forgotten us? Even though the world did not heed her words, and revolution and bloodshed followed after, did our mother forsake her promise? February 11th, 1858. The rosary draped over her wrists, our Blessed Mother first appears to the peasant girl Bernadette Soubirous of Lourdes. And 18 times thereafter she reappears on the spot where a miraculous hidden spring now gushes forth healing waters by the grotto. And what is our mother's message to Bernadette?
Pray. Pray for sinners.
No, our mother has not forgotten us. It is we who have forgotten her. Despite her warnings, the world plunges farther and farther along the road to self-destruction. In August 1914, World War breaks out. Less than 3 years later, Russia, torn by bloody revolution, sees its government fall into the hands of the Bolsheviks. But does our mother forsake us? It is May 13th, 1917, Fatima, Portugal. And once more, this time to 3 innocent children, the Blessed Virgin manifests herself.
I have come to warn the faithful to amend their lives and to ask pardon for their sins. They must not offend our Lord any more. He is already too grievously offended. They must say the rosary daily. This war will end, but another, a worse one, will begin if people do not stop offending. To prevent this, I ask the consecration of the world to my Immaculate Heart. If my requests are heard, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, great error will spread throughout the world, giving rise to war and persecution.
That was her warning to us, her children. And as she had before at Lourdes and Guadalupe, at Fatima, she gave us an unmistakable sign.
Here, take this just as I give it to you. Dateline, Fatima, Portugal, October 13th, 1917. Today, over 60,000 people witnessed a solar phenomenon here that no law of natural science seems able to explain. At high noon, the sun grew suddenly dim and appeared to spin like a gigantic wheel. This occurred 3 times within a period of 10 minutes. An ecclesiastical commission has been appointed to investigate this phenomenon and will report its findings as soon as possible. Okay, you can send that. Oh, and listen, I want to add a personal note to the editor in the London office. Just say, Henry, I saw this with my own eyes. It's the goods.
thus the messages from our mother in fulfillment of her promise. The solar phenomenon at Fatima was later confirmed by outstanding physicists and astronomers as an occurrence utterly unexplainable by ordinary laws of nature. The miracles at Lourdes, the sources of medically certified cures that have taken place there over the years, and which are still occurring, show that for all our weaknesses, our mother has not forgotten us. Let us then, her children, rededicate ourselves to the principles for which her divine Son suffered and died. We live in a war-torn world that needs more than ever before to be brought back through atonement, through prayer, to the Prince of Peace.
Remember, whatever help is needed, whatever special strength, who prays for it in my name will not go unaided. He has promised.
Family Theater has presented a special Mother's Day program, Mother of All, starring Ann Blythe and Macdonald Carey.
Others in our cast were Clark, John Stevenson, Howard Culver, Jay Novello, Pat McGeehan, Norman Field, and David Young. Miss Blythe was our soloist. The song Mother of All was composed by Jean Lockhart, and Miracle of Fatima was composed by Michael Grace and Helmi Cressa. The script was written by John T. Kelly, with music composed and conducted by Harry Zimmerman, and was directed and transcribed for Family Theater by Joseph F. Mansfield. This is Larry Chatterton expressing the wish of Family Theater that the blessing of God may be upon you and your home, and inviting you to be with us again next week when Family Theater will present To the Victor, starring James Cagney and Gene Cagney. Mr. Thomas O'Neill will be your host. Join us, won't you?
This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Cigarettes presents the Screen Guild Player. It's the opening night of the Screen Guild Players on the air for Camel. Our stars, Bing Crosby, Ingrid Bergman, and Joan Carroll. Our play, The Bells of St. Mary. Our sponsor, Camel Cigarettes. And our host, Mr. G. Herschel, President of the Motion Picture Relief Fund. Mr. Herschel.
Good evening. Tonight is the first broadcast of the Screen Guild Players for its new sponsor, the makers of Camel Cigarettes. And I'd like to give you an idea of the great entertainment we have planned for you this season. Clark Gable, Bette Davis, Gary Cooper, Claudette Colbert, Van Johnson, Gregory Peck, Betty Grable, Cary Grant, and a host of others. Yes, the greatest stars and the greatest picture triumphs, and they'll all be here for you every Monday night through the cooperation of the entire motion picture industry. I hope you won't miss a single one. And now, the first play of our new season, The Bells of St. Mary's, starring Ingrid Bergman, Bing Crosby, and Joan Carroll.
Of St. Mary's. Just a school song, you might say, and yet for some it was a hymn, a litany, a dedication. They tell me I made quite a splash at St. Mary's. The very first day I arrived, in fact. You see, Sister Benedict was head of the school, and she thought I did a formal introduction.
Children, this is our new pastor, Father O'Malley, and I'm sure he has something very important to say to you. Father?
Well, children, you're going to see a lot of me in the future. I'm going to be around here a great deal. So you're going to hear the shortest speech ever made. This is a holiday. Everybody takes a day off.
Father O'Malley.
Pretty effective speech, huh?
I am sure they loved it.
Well, when we were kids, we used to just live for holidays. You know, we should never get too far away from our childhood.
But you can't call a holiday just like that. You have to get permission of the superintendent of schools. Oh, Father, what will we tell the superintendent?
Maybe I'll give him a holiday, too.
Father, would you like to look around the school?
No time like the present, Sister Michael. Oh, it's a lot different from the school I went to.
Where, Father?
Missouri. Where'd you come from, sister?
I was born in Sweden, but when I was very young, I came...
Don't tell me. Minnesota.
That's right, Father.
And from what I hear, Father, Sister Benedict was quite a tomboy in those days.
So?
I must admit I played baseball with the boys.
Of course, you were pretty good with the stick.
Mm-hmm. I used to hit over 300.
Brooklyn could have used you today. I guess we all had it a lot better than these kids. Heavens, they don't even have a place to play.
That used to be our playground over there.
Where that new building's going up?
Yes, we had to sell the ground.
We needed the money to fix our old school. They were going to condemn it.
Gee, it's too bad you don't have a nice new building like that one they're putting up over there. That would be the answer to everything.
Confidentially, Father, that's what we've been praying for.
You've been praying for what?
That the owner will wake up one morning and give it to us.
That who will wake up when and give you what?
Oh, Mr. Bogart is the owner.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's be practical. Let's face it. Does Mr. Bogart know anything about it? Has anyone asked him?
No, we've just prayed.
We're relying on you to help us, Father. We thought you might talk to Mr. Bogart.
Well, I'll be glad to, sister. Only one thing.
What?
What'll I do when he says no? What do you think Mr. Bogart has told me? No. He said it 7 different ways, and then he made me a counteroffer. He wanted to buy the old school and tear it down for a parking lot. And frankly, I was more than a little on his side. St. Mary's was old, and there was a new school not too far away, and I was all for recommending the sale, except I hadn't figured on Sister Benedict.
There must always be a St. Mary's. There must always be a St. Mary's.
Yes, St. Mary's was more than a school to her. It was a shrine. And while she'd laugh with me when we differed over little things, she'd fight for the big things to her last breath. The big things. I guess they began with Patsy Gallagher, or should I say with Patsy's mother.
You see, Father, my husband left me a long time ago. 13 years to be exact, before Patsy was born.
And you've raised her yourself? You've been supporting her all this time?
I suppose you're wondering as to how. So is she. She's getting to be a big girl now, Father. She's beginning to think I'm no good. I want to put her in your care before she finds out she's right.
Well, I feel anyone who's as much concerned about her daughter as you are isn't doing too badly. If there was anything really wrong with you, then give it time.
Then you'll take her, Father. She can live here at the school?
I think it can be arranged. And I'll make a deal with you.
Yes?
I'll take care of Patsy. You take care of yourself. Sister Benedict, I've been meaning to talk to you.
Yes, Father?
It's about that new girl, Patsy. The one that started a couple weeks ago. How's she doing, Sister?
I'm afraid not very well.
No? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Father, when we accepted this child, it was on your recommendation. We know very little about her parents. What kind of home life did she have?
Oh, you know, the usual.
You said you met her mother?
Yes. Yes, I met her.
Do you know Mrs. Gallagher well?
Yes, you might say I know her quite well.
And her father, did you meet him?
No, I've heard about him.
Are they separated?
Well, yes, they are.
Is there anything else that I should know? Anything that would help?
Well, no, that's all that I...
Care to tell?
Well, yes, that's all.
Did anyone ever tell you that you had a dishonest face? Huh? For a priest, I mean.
I thought I'd drop in tonight, Patsy, see how you were doing. How you doing?
Not too well, Father.
Well, what's the problem?
It's an essay, Father. The 5 senses.
The 5 senses. Now, there's an interesting subject. What have you discovered about them?
Nothing. See what I mean?
Oh, here now. What are the 5 senses, Patsy?
Well, to see, to hear, to taste, to smell, and to feel.
That's right. Who's this essay for?
Sister Benedict.
Sister Benedict. Oh, we'll have to take dead aim on this one. See if we can get you an A. Now, let's see. Man is endowed with certain powers which we call 5 senses. Now, if he has common sense, he will get great happiness out of life by using these powers within a right reason. Now, for instance, you're happy you came to St. Mary's, aren't you?
Oh, yes, Father.
That's what I mean, to be glad you're alive. To be grateful because people are kind to you and to be able to see some of nature's great wonders. The budding of the flowers in spring and the changing of leaves in the autumn. To be able to appreciate beautiful music. To be conscious of the beauty of tasting and feeling and hearing the things that are good for you. To be aware of why you're here. Oh, I could go on and on and on.
Well, why don't you, Father?
Well, let's see. Isn't that a piano?
Uh-huh.
Well, aren't these hands meant to play it?
Uh-huh.
Then I think I will.
What, Father?
And go on and on and on. Every time you're near a rose, aren't you glad you've got a nose? And if the dawn is fresh with dew, aren't you glad you're you? When a meadow lark appears, aren't you glad you've got two ears? And if your heart is singing too, aren't you glad you're you? You can see a summer sky, or touch a friendly hand, or taste an apple pie. Pardon the grammar, but ain't life grand? And when you wake up each morn, aren't you glad that you were born? Think what you've got the whole day through. Aren't you glad you're you? Well, Patsy, I'll leave you with these few little thoughts. What do you make of them?
Well, if you can't appreciate your 5 senses, then your life isn't worth 5 cents.
That's good. That's good. Well, I hope you do all right tomorrow.
Thank you, Father. I feel much better.
You know what?
What?
Feel pretty good myself.
Quiet, children. Everybody quiet now. Class, we're very fortunate in having Father O'Malley with us today. So we'll read some of our compositions aloud. Luther?
Luther? How'd he get in here?
We never knew. All right, Luther.
5 senses. I like the taste of ice cream cones with hickory strawberry. I like to listen to the Lone Ranger High Silver. I like to smell hot dogs at the ballpark. I like to feel, good.
Now, don't laugh, children. Luther means he wants to be a good boy. He wants to feel good inside. Don't you, Luther?
No, sister. What I meant to feel good is like, well, when the bell rings at 3 o'clock. Or when it's Easter vacation, better still. That's what I mean to feel good.
Well, after all, Father, it has both honesty and imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Luther. Now, you, Patsy?
The 6 senses.
Well, the subject I gave you was the 5 senses.
Well, I chose for my subject 6 senses.
Well, go on, Patsy, go on.
The 6 senses. To see, to hear, to taste, to smell, to feel, and to be. And the most important is the last. The 6th sense is to be able to enjoy the other 5 senses properly. To be. That's what really matters. It's like a world inside us, and it's up to us what we make of it, through common sense. Common senses and internal senses function it is to differentiate between the various reports of the senses or to reduce these reports to the unity of a common perception. As William Shakespeare said...
Saved by the bell.
Thank you, Patsy. That was very good. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. All right, children, you may go.
Well, Sister Benedict, I really learned something.
Oh?
Patsy shows quite a lot of promise, don't you think?
Oh, definitely.
What are you going to give her? A B, perhaps?
Oh, no, I think at least an A.
Oh, good. That's fine.
As a matter of fact, I think it should be maybe A+. Don't you, Father?
Oh, that might be overdoing it a little.
It had a plus quality to it.
Yeah, well, a girl like Patsy needs a lot of encouragement. She has such a fine mind.
Yes, remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she has the mentality of a man your age.
Well, there's another sense, you know, sister.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Don't tell me.
Yes, sense enough to know when to leave. Good afternoon.
In just a moment, you'll hear Act 2 of The Bells of St. Mary, starring Ingrid Bergman, Bing Crosby, and Joan Carroll. But first, a word about camels.
Experience is the best teacher.
A magnificent horse, glossy as satin, clears a high jump. In the saddle sits a beautiful young woman, one of the bright stars of the sports world. Her name is Pat Hackett. She's had years of experience in riding and training jumpers, and that experience shows as she clears that 5-bar jump. As Miss Hackett said,
experience is the best teacher in jumping a horse. It is in choosing a cigarette, too. The wartime cigarette shortage was a real experience. Of all the brands I smoked, Camels suit me best.
Throughout America, millions of smokers agree with Miss Hackett about Camels. Yes, smoking and comparing so many different brands during the wartime cigarette shortage made millions experts in judging the differences in cigarette quality. Having experience with so many different brands, smokers again and again found they prefer Camels for rich, full flavor, Camels for cool mildness. As a result,
more people are smoking Camels than ever before.
Experience is the best teacher. Try a Camel yourself.
C-A-M-E-L-S.
And now, Act Two of The Bells of St. Mary, starring Bing Crosby, Ingrid Bergman, and Joan Carroll. Father O'Malley continues our story.
You know, the days skip right along when you're busy, and a school like St. Mary's can keep you pretty active. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, and then almost before I knew it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that song. Yes, it's so fresh and gay. Sister Benedict should play it more often. Maybe spring should come twice a year.
How's that?
Oh, Father O'Malley.
Oh, no, don't let me slow you up. Don't stop. Tell me, you know Birmingham Bertha? Oh, you don't know that. Well, how about the school song, then?
Oh, yes. Sister Benedict has a new version of it with effects and everything. She's a bit proud of it.
Well, then sing that.
Won't you sing the melody, Father?
Sister, you talked me into it.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding.
Oh, bells of St. Mary, we always will love you with your inspiration. We never will fail. Your charm will forever bring sweet memories of you. So proudly ring out while we sing out, hail, hail, hail. So proudly ring out while we sing out, hail, hail, hail. Won't you ring them bells? Oh, I haven't had a chance like that in years. No, well, but it wasn't all laughs and music. There were some things that had me plenty worried. For one thing, that building next door was almost completed. Sister Benedict and the others went on praying serenely, confident that it was being finished for them. Of course, nobody bothered to ask Mr. Bogardus, and I shuddered to think what would happen when they did. That was one thing. And the other...
Come in. Oh, hello, Father.
Oh, don't get up. I'm just the pastor here. Well, grading the final exams, I see.
Yes, Father.
Ran into some of the girls out in the hall.
You did?
Yeah, they're sort of dying of curiosity, so I'm supposed to come in and, without your knowing it, of course, find out how they did. I presume you opened your heart, passed them all, huh?
All but one, Father. This one.
Pat. Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Father.
But this is only one subject.
The others are even worse. Her average is below 60.
Well, she got the date right. She spelled her name right. Couldn't you give her something for that? Come on, add it up again. Maybe pass.
Don't you think the honor of the school means anything?
Well, but what about Patsy? She's just beginning to believe in herself. A blow like this, child may never get over it.
Father, believe me, my heart aches for Patsy, and I've done everything possible to help her, but I must uphold our standards. If you order me to pass her, I shall do so. But her mark remains the same.
Sister, you and I have had our little differences of opinion, but they haven't been important. This is serious. I'm not going to order you to do anything, but it's up to you.
But she failed.
Father O'Malley, I can't take it, I tell you. All those howling blasts around the place. The building's almost done. We'll be opening up pretty soon. How am I going to work with all that noise?
How do I?
Oh, now look here, Father. This is no joke. I'm a sick man. I've got a pretty bad heart.
I wonder why.
What do you mean, why?
Believe me, Mr. Bogardus, that's not just the pastor talking. I've got science on my side. Yes, sir, scientists say that there's nothing ever wasted in this world, and I was just wondering if that bum picker of yours might have some purpose.
Oh, Father O'Malley, you better come quickly.
What's happened?
Sister Benedict had a fainting spell in the chapel. She's quite ill.
I'll come right along.
Excuse me, Father. Is that included?
What?
That sister, I mean. Spends her whole life helping others, and now she's sick. You think that's got a purpose, too?
Who knows? Doctor.
Yes, Father?
How is she?
Well, she's running a little temperature. I understand she's had these attacks before.
So Sister Michael tells me. Yes, I hope it's not serious. She's such a remarkable woman.
She certainly is. Didn't even want to talk about herself. Just about that new building next door and Mr. Bogardus.
Yes, she's done a heap of praying for both.
Well, prayer's a wonderful thing, Father, but if Bogardus ever gives her that building, I'll...
Whoop. Nothing spectacular now, Doctor.
Well, I hate to see her disillusioned. By the way, Father, how did you happen to call me in?
Oh, I've heard Bogardus talk about you. He talks quite a lot about you.
He talks quite a lot to me. Calls me a dozen times a day.
His heart's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What are you giving him for it, pills?
Why? You got a better prescription?
Well, I knew a fellow once. He had a very bad heart. In fact, they only gave him 6 months to live, but he spent that 6 months doing so much good that, he lived to be 90.
Is that so? You mean doing good for others is good for a bad heart?
Well, you spend your whole life doing for others, don't you, Doctor?
Why, yes.
How's your heart?
Fine.
There you are. You mustn't ask me what really did it. The sister's prayers or the doctor's persuasion. Frankly, I don't see that it matters when heaven and science teamed up like that. But anyway, just a few days later...
Father O'Malley, you'll never guess the most wonderful thing, a miracle.
So?
Mr. Bogardus just came to see me, and Father, he's going to give us
his building.
But he just told me. How did you know?
Well, I figured if fate could move mountains, sister, it could certainly budge Bogardus a few steps.
Father, everyone's so happy around here, Father. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Bad news, Doctor?
Sister Benedict. Can she be sent away for a while? Transferred to some easier job?
Well, what is it, Doctor?
TB. A very early stage. We're lucky to catch it.
Does she know about it?
Well, normally I'd tell her, but it's such a light case, I don't want to worry her.
Oh, but she'll have to know about it. We can't send her away. But...
Don't you people more or less go where you're told without question?
Yeah. We're supposed to have the stamina to take it.
She has plenty of that.
But you don't quite understand, Doctor. You see, Sister and I haven't always agreed on how to run a school. In fact, we recently had one serious difference of opinion. Now, if she's sent away without explanation, why, she's bound to think it's because of...
Father, up to here we were discussing her health. What's best for her. And now we're discussing your feelings.
It's a heck of a way to put it, Doc.
I only want to see her get well.
That's the trouble, Doctor. So do I.
It's perfect, Father. The building can be used as a school with hardly any alteration. As if God himself had been the architect.
That's fine.
And now we can finally tear down our old school, and that can become our playground. And, it is all so wonderful. And I'm tired.
You've been working too hard.
Oh, it's just the excitement. Father, I'm so happy. I have only one more wish.
One wish?
That we have no more misunderstandings. Serious ones, I mean.
Like Patsy, huh? You still disagree with me, don't you?
Father, sometimes we must do things that aren't easy. No matter how much they hurt us, we have to do what we believe is right.
I have something to tell you, sister, that isn't going to be easy.
Oh, what is that, Father?
Well, you'll be notified shortly that Sister Michael will be in charge here next year.
Oh, she'll be so happy. And will I be her assistant?
It's only fair to tell you, sister, that you're being transferred.
It's going to be difficult to leave St. Mary's. But we shouldn't become too attached to any one place. Any other school may seem strange at first, but as long as I'm around children, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. Dear God, help me. Dear God, remove all bitterness from my heart. Please help me to see thy holy will in all things. Help me, oh, please help me. Mr. Benedict? Yes. Sister, the cab is here. Thank you, I'm coming now. Goodbye, Sister Benedict. Goodbye, sister.
Sister Benedict, we know your heart will be here, and we'll always remember you in our prayers.
Thank you. Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, sister.
Sister Benedict, wait.
Yes, Father.
Sister, I can't let you go like this. When the doctor said you were perfect, he was right. For that's what you are. But he didn't mean physically. Because, sister, you have a touch of tuberculosis.
Then that's
Oh, the doctor felt we shouldn't worry about it, but...
Thank you, Father. You've made me very happy. I'll get well quickly now.
Oh, of course you will, sister.
Of course I will.
And remember, if you ever need anything, no matter where it is or where you happen to be, just dial O for O'Malley.
I'll remember, Father. O for O'Malley.
Thank Crosby and Joan Carroll for your magnificent performances in the Bells of St. Mary.
We all love the story, Mr. Herschel, so it was nice to renew our friendship with it. And it was an extra pleasure to appear on the Screen Guild program for Camel Cigarettes, knowing that it helps support the wonderful work of the Motion Picture Relief Fund and its country house. And there's another wonderful thing that the Camel people are doing. Bing, would you like to tell them about it?
By all means. In a world, that's a little prone to forget so easily, the makers of Camel cigarettes aren't forgetting. Every week they send a parcel of free Camels to service men's hospitals from coast to coast. This week the Camels go to the Veterans Hospital at Otine, North Carolina, and to the U.S. Army Station Hospital right here in California at Stoneman. Also to the U.S. Naval Hospital at Jacksonville, Florida, and the U.S. Marine Hospital at New Orleans. And a few veterans down there at the Kennedy Veterans Hospital in Memphis are listing in right now on your Philco. Philco? What are they? How did that fit? Well, somebody's been taking care of me here in the crew. You'll be glad to know that you're going to get some of those free Camels, too.
According to a nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Doctors practicing in every field of medicine. Doctors living in every state of the Union. 113,597 doctors were questioned by 3 leading independent research organizations. What cigarette do you smoke, doctor, was asked. The brand named most was Camel. C-A-M-E-L-S. In our coming Monday evening broadcast of Camel Cigarette Screen Guild players, you will hear the greatest stars in pictures. Among them, Joan Fontaine, Jimmy Stewart, Barbara Stanwyck, Danny Kaye, and Walter Pigeon. And for next Monday, we have a real surprise for you. Camel Cigarettes will present the Screen Guild players in the hilarious comedy, My Favorite Brunette. And it will star Bob Hope and Dorothy L'Amour. Be sure to listen.
More pipes smoke Prince Albert than any other tobacco. Yes, the rich, cool flavors Prince Albert's mellow mildness make it a steady favorite. Prince Albert is especially made for smoking pleasure. Trim cut to burn slow, smoke cool. PA's Choice Tobacco is specially treated to ensure against tongue bite. Just try a pipeful of Prince Albert. See if you, too, don't prefer it to any other brand. Tonight's Green Guild play was directed by Bill Lawrence and adapted for radio by Harry Cronman. The music was arranged and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. The Bells of St. Mary's, which was directed by Leo McCary, was presented through the courtesy of Rainbow Productions, who are currently making Good Sam, starring Gary Cooper and Ann Sheridan, also directed by Leo McCary. Camel Cigarettes bring you the Vaughn Monroe Show every Saturday night on these same CBS stations. This is Michael Roy in Hollywood wishing you good night for Camel Cigarettes. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Hello, this is Father Bob Warren of the Franciscan Friars of the Atonement. Thank you for listening to this rebroadcast of the Ave Maria Hour radio show. The Friars' popular Ave Maria Hour was first brought to the radio airwaves in 1939, recorded in New York City and on the mountainside grounds at Graymoor, our home in Garrison, New York. These timeless classic stories of the Bible and the lives of the saints came to life each week through dramatic reenactment by professional actors and actresses. You know, friends, Christ once said, "Do not hide your treasure under a bushel." In saying this, he meant share your gifts, share your talents. The Friars of the Atonement feel the message in these broadcasts remains as powerful and timely as when they were originally aired, and we are so happy to be able to share them with you today. To learn more about the missions and ministries of the Friars of the Atonement, I invite you to visit our website, www.atonementfriars.org. In the meantime, sit back and enjoy this rebroadcast of the Ave Maria Hour.
A reporter at Fatima.
My name is Gordon Parker. I'm a foreign correspondent. My last assignment was Moscow. My reporting stint in Russia lasted 3 years. I ran into trouble there a few months ago. Why, I don't know. Maybe I was too rough for them. They like to give the world a rosy impression of life in Russia. I wrote it the way I saw it. Anyway, the Wire Association finally had to assign another correspondent to Moscow, and I got a plane ticket to Lisbon. I reported to the manager of our Lisbon office.
I thought you'd be anxious to hear about your next assignment.
Rome or Paris?
Paris, but not right away. First, a brief assignment here.
In Portugal?
Fatima.
Where?
Fatima. Surely you've heard the story of Fatima.
Well, that happened 40 years ago.
No, the Wire Association wants a complete background story.
From me? Why me? I don't know the country, the language beats me, and I hardly know the story of Fatima.
Well, that's the idea. Our correspondents in Portugal grew up with the story. We have prejudices, for or against it. What they want is a fresh study without bias or color.
I still don't get it. The whole world is likely to blow up, and they send me on a dead story.
Well, not dead, my friend. Part of what was revealed to the children has never been made public. It will be in 1960.
I thought all the kids were dead.
No, one still lives. A nun in a convent at Coimbra. The feeling is the message will affect the world.
Do you believe that?
No, that's immaterial. Let's just say there's a good deal of public interest in what that sealed envelope contains. And you're assigned to do a fresh story on all the events leading up to its release. If you've got any complaints, wire New York.
That's how I got my assignment to Fatima. I figured the key to the story was the message to be made public in 1960. It was in possession of the Bishop of Leiria, whose diocese includes the town of Fatima. So I phoned for an interview and was told to come the next day.
You're welcome, Mr. Parker, though I'm not sure I can be of service to you.
You do have the secret portion of the message in your possession.
That is correct.
What can you tell me about it?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Not until 1960.
Oh, can you tell me the nature of the message?
No, Mr. Parker.
How does it come to be in your possession?
In 1936, I asked Sister Maria Lucia...
That's one of the 3 children who saw the vision?
The only one still living, yes.
Uh-huh.
I asked Sister Maria Lucia to write a full account of the apparitions. The world has since been given most of what she wrote down, except for the final portion. It will be kept secret until 1960.
Yeah, but the children first heard the messages in 1917. Why didn't they tell everything right away?
They did, all except a small portion they were told to keep secret until later.
Why, I wonder?
Obviously, some parts of the secret message would have meant little to anyone if they were revealed immediately. Only when world events took shape after many years would they become clear and significant. And remember this, the oldest child was only 10 years old when they heard the messages. Their immature minds would have been incapable of understanding, much less relaying all that they heard. Not until they reached maturity. And only one of them did. Only then could they transmit parts of the message intelligibly.
Then you believe the secret message will have meaning for the world today with the Cold War and the Russian threat?
I cannot answer that.
I'd like to start at the beginning. What were the children like?
Ordinary peasant stock. They couldn't read or write. Lucia was the eldest, only 10, and the others were her cousins, Francisco Marto, a boy of 9, and his sister Jacinta, 8 years old. They were shepherds. That's how they came to be in the meadow that day they first saw the apparition.
Tell me about it.
I would gladly, but for your purposes, I think you should find the facts elsewhere. You'll be more convinced learning the facts from people who don't want to believe, but can't deny the facts.
That was fair enough. So I started digging. I got most of the story from the newspaper morgues. Discarding all rumor and hearsay and just laying down the facts, this is the way the story starts that first day, Sunday, May 13th, 1917. About noon that day, the 3 kids guided their sheep out to a meadow, a place called the Cova da Iria, which was on the farm Lucia's father owned. Something very strange happened that day, something that made the kids so awestruck they decided not to tell anybody about it. But when they went home, the youngest one, Jacinta, couldn't contain it. She blurted out the story. Her father, a man named T. Marto, didn't believe it, but went over to Lucia's house to get to the bottom of it. Lucia's mother, Maria Rose, opened the door.
Oh, come in, T. Did you have your supper?
Yes, Maria.
Come in.
Maria, did Lucia tell you anything that happened today?
Huh? What's that girl been up to now?
Well, no, it's nothing she did. I don't know how to say it, but Jacinta and Francisco...
Well, what about your precious children?
Well, they said they saw the Blessed Virgin.
The Blessed... Nonsense. And you believed them?
Well, no, but... Well, they've never lied before.
All children lie.
Yes, I suppose. Well, did Lucia say nothing?
Lucia, come here.
Yes, Mama?
Now, your cousins have been telling fibs at home. They said they saw...
They told.
Told what?
They promised they wouldn't.
Lucia, tell your uncle you saw nothing.
I can't tell him that, Mama.
Are you saying you did see something?
Yes.
What? Be careful now.
I saw a lady.
And who was the lady, Maria?
Don't be afraid. Tell us.
There was lightning. I think it was lightning. We thought a storm was coming, so we ran under a tree.
There was no storm today.
It wasn't a storm. When we looked up, there was like a ball of light, and a lady was standing on it.
You'll get another if you don't tell the truth.
It is the truth. The lady was all white, brighter than the sun.
Did she speak?
Don't encourage her, T.
Now, go on.
I don't want to.
Now, what did she say?
She said, "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you."
That's all?
I asked where she came from, and she said, from heaven.
Lies. All lies.
No, they did see something. Go on, Lucia.
I asked why she'd come, and she said, I have come to ask you to come here at the same time on the 13th day of each of the next 5 months. In October, I will tell you who I am and what I want.
Now that's all. Into bed.
Yes, Mama.
I'll be right up. T. Marto, you're a fool listening to her.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, I'll get the truth out of her. And tomorrow morning you'll admit you're a fool.
But Lucia and the others stuck to their strange story. Francisco said he saw the lady, but couldn't hear her. His sister, Jacinta, said the lady spoke to Lucia, but she could also hear what was said. Lucia said the lady spoke directly to her. The story spread fast. Everybody took turns questioning them, including the village priest. But nobody could shake the kids. June 13th, their next date to visit the Cova, fell on the feast day of St. Anthony of Padua. It was a great day of fiesta in the village, and all the kids waited for it like ours do for Christmas. To go to the Cova instead meant missing the fun, but they went anyway. So did their parents and about 50 villagers. They saw the children kneel and then heard Lucia speaking to someone. Some of the witnesses said they saw a small cloud hovering over the treetops and a sound like a horsefly in a bottle. But that's all. After it was over, the kids were taken to Father Ferreira, the village priest.
You claim you saw the lady, too?
Yes, Father. She was very beautiful.
What did she say?
Jacinta told you.
I want you to tell me. Now, Lucia, you were heard to ask, what do you want me to do? Now, the truth. Did she answer?
Yes. She said, I want you to come here on the 13th of the next month and to say 5 decades of the rosary every day.
Well, why should she say that? Is it likely that a lady should appear to tell you to do something you and everyone else in the village already does?
I'm only telling you what she said.
All right, go on.
She said, I want you to learn to read. I will tell you later what my wishes are.
Anything else?
I asked if she'd come to take us to heaven.
What an imagination.
She said, yes, I will come soon to take Jacinta and Francisco.
You mean to heaven?
Yes. But she said to me, you will have to stay here much longer. Jesus wishes to use you to make me known and loved. He desires to establish devotion to my Immaculate Heart throughout the world.
Why should she say such things to you? Aren't there more worthy people?
Yes.
Then tell the truth. All right. Wait outside and tell your mother to come in.
I don't believe her either.
And what about you, Timarto?
Father, I think they believe what they say, but perhaps it's only in their minds.
You mean an illusion? No, I don't think so. I believe they did see something.
Don't be taken in, Father.
I'm not sure what they saw was holy. There are evil things in this world. Even adults are taken in. Children all the more so.
This frightened Lucia so much when she heard about it, she resolved never to go back to the Cova. By the time July 13th came around, Lucia's fears suddenly vanished, and she decided to go back after all. When they got there, this time they found some 4,000 or 5,000 people waiting. Again, the crowd saw the children kneel and heard Lucia speaking, then listening. And after a while, they saw the children suddenly go pale and cry out. Then again, the children listened intently. That's when the government stepped in. The public administrator of the prefecture was a man named Arturo de Oliveira Santos. He sent for the children, but T. Marto showed up instead.
Why didn't you bring the children?
I want to know why you want them first.
To question them, you fool.
Question me. They've told me everything.
Oh, no, my friend. We both know they're lying. I intend to make them admit it.
Well, they've nothing to admit.
You put them up to this, you and the church.
The priest doesn't believe them either.
So he says. We shouldn't have left any priests in Portugal.
You left few enough.
You people you don't understand. We've done you a service ridding you of priests.
And for this you expect our thanks?
Yes, we do. We've taken the church off your backs. Don't you understand? Your religion is the main cause of your wretchedness. Help us, and in another generation we'll wipe it out.
You don't want it wiped out.
Only because of superstition. And now you're playing their game. That's why they put the children up to this. To make people think there really is a God, and that he sent his mother to keep you in the faith.
So that's why she's come.
Idiot.
Yes, of course.
All right. Now go and bring back the children immediately.
Not if you mean them harm.
You think we're barbarians? But wait. All right, if you're frightened, I'll go to them. Yes. Expect me just before August the 13th, when they're to see the lady again.
The day before the children were to visit the Cova for the fourth time, Santos showed up as promised. He questioned Lucia closely on what she had been told on the previous visit.
And what did you ask the lady then?
What she wanted me to do.
And she said?
That I was to come again on the 13th day of next month.
That's tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And you're going?
She asked me to.
Yes, of course. What else did she say?
I was to continue to say the rosary every day, to obtain peace for the world and the end of the war.
You mean the Great War will end if you just say your beads?
She meant for everyone to say the rosary every day.
Even me?
Yes.
And the Great War will end?
She said she alone could bring it about.
What a fine way to end a war, by saying your beads.
You don't believe me?
Would you if you were me?
I asked her to make a miracle so that everyone would believe.
And what did she say?
She would.
She would? When?
She said, in October I will tell you who I am and what I want, and I will perform a great miracle so that everyone will believe you.
Well, isn't that fine? And do you think she will?
Oh, yes, she said she would.
And other people will see this miracle?
Oh, yes.
But what if they don't?
They will.
But if they don't, that will end all this nonsense, won't it?
But she said they would.
We'll see. Now, little girl, one last question. Why did you turn pale and cry out when you saw the lady last time?
She showed us something.
Something bad?
Yes.
What?
A great fire with demons and people burning in it. They groaned and they screamed and they made us afraid.
You mean you saw the fires of hell?
Yes.
Now, why would a nice lady show that to little children?
She said, you have seen hell where the souls of poor sinners go. To save them, God wishes to establish in the world devotion to my Immaculate Heart. If they do what I shall tell you, many souls will be saved and there will be peace. She said the Great War is drawing to its close.
The Great War is coming to an end. She told you that?
But she also said, if people do not cease offending God, there will be a worse war in the reign of the next Pope.
Another war. World War II, when the first isn't over yet.
That's what she said.
Do you know what happens to little girls who lie? Never mind. What else did she say?
I can't tell you.
Can't tell me?
No.
Did the priest put you up to this?
No.
Tell me, little girl.
I can't.
I can make you tell, but not now. I'll give you a little time to think. But when I come again, if you don't tell me the secret, you'll die.
Santos came back the next morning. He told the children that he was taking them personally to the Cova. But once out of sight of their parents, he turned his automobile around and carried them away. So that day, August 13th, 18,000 people arrived in the Cova to learn that the children had been put in jail. There, Santos bullied and cuffed them without success. Finally, he threatened to put them in boiling oil unless they told their secret. He took Jacinta away first and came to tell the other two that he had thrown her in the boiling vat. Next, he took Francisco. Lucia was terrified, but prepared to die rather than tell the secret portion of what she had heard. When Santos saw this, he gave up. He might have been even more brutal, except he feared the wrath of the crowd. The 18,000 people who were disappointed at the Cova that day had left money on a huge table there to build a shrine. Although the fourth visit did not happen on schedule, a week later, when the children were home, again tending their flock, they said they had another visit from the lady.
The lady was very angry with those who had kept us away. I asked her what was to be done with the money. She said some was to be used for celebrating the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary and the rest for building a chapel. I asked her again for a miracle, and she said again that she would grant it in October.
The fifth and next to last visit was scheduled for September 13th, 1917. On the appointed day, upwards of 30,000 people jammed the Cova da Iria to witness it. Again, the crowd saw the children kneel and listen. And again, the message told by the children, the persistent, recurring message, peace through prayer, peace through the rosary. And now about the final visit and the miracle. The suspense was great and nationwide. A miracle was promised, one all could see. What it would be, nobody knew. How many people do you think turned up that day? 70,000. 70,000 people who wanted to see a miracle, or not to see one and laugh at the children's story. Most of the newspapers sent reporters, so if you want to dispute what happened, you've got to dispute the word of trained, objective, and disinterested reporters. In checking out the story, I even took into account that some of the reporters were prejudiced. Just to make sure, I stuck with the reports from the newspapers who were unfriendly to the church and who, given half the chance, would have exposed the whole thing for a hoax. One of these newspapers was O Seculo, published in Lisbon and read everywhere. To get their story of what had happened that day, I called on the present-day editor of O Seculo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Parker. I received your telephone call, and I think I've got the story you want here. A remarkable story.
Do you believe it?
How can I doubt it? My own father wrote the story. He was editor of O Seculo in 1917, and even if I didn't know him to be an honest reporter, there were too many eyewitnesses to fake it.
Was your father prepared to see a miracle?
You didn't know my father, Mr. Parker. Just the day before, he'd written a derisive report ridiculing people for expecting anything of the kind. He went to Fatima for the pleasure of seeing that nothing happened.
But he did see something.
He and thousands of others. He had no choice but to write what he saw. Why are you smiling, Mr. Parker?
Well, as a correspondent, I just wondered how I'd feel in his place if I had to send back a story saying, I saw the sun dance.
Yes, he saw the sun dance. Shall I read you what he wrote that day?
Please.
My father wrote, a unique and unbelievable sight. The vast crowd looked up at the sun. It was like a dull silver plate. It neither burnt nor dazzled. And then a tremendous clamor broke out from the crowd. With bared heads, full of terror, they gazed at the sky. The sun trembled and made some abrupt movements never seen before and outside all the laws of the universe. And he concludes, it now remains for those qualified to do so to explain this fantastic dance of the sun. Well, that's the substance of my father's report, Mr. Parker.
Some I've read are even more graphic.
Yes, I know. I've read them.
Of course, the sun couldn't have plunged toward the earth. The sun is stationary.
Yes, I agree, Mr. Parker. I can't explain it. Neither can the scientists. We only know it did happen.
Well, it could have been mass hallucination.
Yes, if the thousands there had known what they were expected to see, but they didn't.
That's true.
It may also interest you to know that some among the 70,000 saw nothing. I don't know what that means, except that it would rule out mass hallucination. Moreover, people 30 to 50 miles away saw it. They weren't part of the crowd. They were alone. So it couldn't be a form of crowd suggestion. And what happened there was seen only in a limited area around Fatima. The people elsewhere in the world on whom the same sun was shining saw nothing.
I'll have to think about it for a while.
Welcome to the club. I've been thinking about it all my life.
The miracle witnessed by the 70,000 was remarkable enough, but nothing to compare with what the children say they saw that day.
The lady appeared again and said to me, I am Our Lady of the Rosary. The Rosary must be said every day. Men must amend their lives and ask for forgiveness for their sins. Let them cease to offend our Lord, for he is already offended too much. And then I saw the Holy Family, St. Joseph and Mary and the infant child.
So ends our report on the events of the year 1917 at Fatima, Portugal. But the story doesn't end here. I checked up on what happened to the children. First on Jacinta and her brother, Francisco, who said the lady had told them she would soon take them to heaven. Within 2 years of the vision, both were dead. The third child, Lucia, who was told to learn to read and write so that she might serve God, became a Carmelite nun. Almost 20 years later, she wrote down a full account of what she had been told, including the secret portions. Part of this was revealed at that time.
I ask for Russia to be consecrated to my Immaculate Heart and for the communion of reparation on the first Saturdays. If my request is heard, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, Russia will spread her errors throughout the world, causing wars and persecutions of the Church. Good people will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer, and several nations will be destroyed. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me. She will be converted, and a period of peace will be granted to the world.
In 1943, the Vatican acted on the message. Pope Pius XII consecrated the whole world to the Immaculate Heart with special mention of Russia. The final secret portion of the message of Fatima will be made public in 1960. Well, that finished my assignment to Fatima. But hardly a day goes by that something doesn't happen to make me think of it. The idea that wars are punishment for mankind's sins. The idea that prayer can bring peace. I've lived my life in an era of wars, and in fear that the big one might be touched off. We spend a great deal of time and energy and money trying to prevent war and preserve the peace. Doesn't seem to be enough, does it? I'm going back to Fatima in 1960 for the last part of the story.
The greatest story ever told.
Presented by the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Tonight we present And Her Name Was Mary, the first of 5 Christmas season dramas about the birth of that child who was to live the greatest life ever lived. Galilee, north of Jerusalem by some 50 miles, and in Galilee, Nazareth, a small town, little different from other towns in that country, which suffered under the Roman tyranny. And in Nazareth lived a carpenter, a good man, kindly, an honest craftsman, yet more, for he was descended of kings. In his veins flowed the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. A prince of the house of David he was. And though destined to play a great role in the dramatic events of Bethlehem, he was unmindful of it as he worked one day in his carpenter shop.
There, the traveling box is finished. Strong, workmanlike. I hope Samuel is pleased with it.
Why shouldn't Samuel be pleased with it?
Samuel, you surprised me while I was talking to myself. A habit one develops from living alone so long.
Is that the thought? Good. Sturdy. Able to take the hard service, I'll put it to.
Samuel, you're planning a long journey.
I may never come back.
You mean I'll never see you again? And we've been friends so long.
We could go on being friends, and even fellow soldiers in a good fight. A hard fight.
You know how I feel about force, Samuel.
And I think you're wrong. Joseph, why don't you join the resistance with me? There's so much to do. So tough a fight ahead will need every man. Don't you see, Joseph, Herod must go if Israel's to have any peace.
It's not for me, Samuel. I don't believe in force.
Maybe because you don't know. Tucked away in your carpenter shop in Galilee all the time, you hear little of what's going on in the outside world. If you'd come to Judea with me, if you'd see what goes on there. No, Joseph, we're not alone in this. There are a great many of us. You couldn't find one of us by day who doesn't seem to be just an ordinary worker or servant. But at night, it's different. At night, we meet in secret in the hills of Judea. And there are many of us. We work by dark, in caves, underground. But we have strength.
And if you match strength with Herod, only bloodshed can result.
Maybe you talk that way because you don't know. Don't know what's really going on.
I think I've heard my share about Herod and his tyranny.
Herod, an Edomite, an outsider set by the Romans to rule over Israel. What have we come to, Joseph? Doesn't that in itself make you want to fight?
The thought is bitter. But bloodshed isn't the way, Samuel.
What if I could prove to you that it is?
I don't think you can.
When you hear this, you'll change your mind. This is secret, Joseph. Men have died to get this information for us.
You know you can trust me.
Of course. The resistance has its sources of information all over, even in Herod's palace. Nothing Herod does is secret from us. And the cruelty of the man knows no bounds. Let me tell you what happened. And when you hear it, even you must realize that peaceful ways are not the answer. This Herod is a monster. And it wasn't long ago that he was talking to Asa, his prime minister, about a matter very important to us all.
They complained, Asa, did they?
Yes, Majesty. Herod, this time we may be coming too close to rebellion.
Don't whisper it to me as though it were a secret.
Well, I'm sorry, Majesty. I only thought...
I do the thinking, Asa. The people groan about the taxes. We must do something. Isn't that right, Asa?
If you would, it would make my job easier.
Then we'll do it. We'll raise the taxes.
Raise them? But I told you...
Very simple, Asa. If people think the taxes are too high now, we'll show them they can be even higher. We'll break them. That's what we'll do. Break them.
Majesty, I must ask you to clear the court. I have something important to say. No one else must hear.
What?
Please, Majesty, not before the others, for your sake.
The way you cringe, Asa. All right. I'll clear the court. Clear the court! Everyone! Everyone leave! Now, Asa, we're alone. What's the secret? Word from Rome?
No, Herod.
Well, what is it?
Herod, you know there are those among the Israelites who fight us.
And that's your secret?
No, of course not, Majesty, but joining them are others who are not Jews. Some of your own people are with them.
And that's no secret either.
Well, Herod, don't become enraged. Hear me out. Say nothing, do nothing before you hear all I have to say.
Stop trembling and speak up.
One man has thrown his lot in with the Jews. He's an important man. A prince.
I'm king. The prince would have to be my own son.
You just said what I tried to tell you.
Asa.
Please, Majesty.
Asa, are you telling me that my own son Aristobulus has put his lot in with the rebels? That's a lie.
Would I suggest such a thing if I didn't have proof?
What proof?
We captured a rebel. We questioned him. How much of that can a man endure? He talked. He told us. Yes, and he's popular with the people. Maybe because they know.
You miserable, conniving wretch. You're lying to me.
Majesty, please, would I lie about such a thing and expect to live?
I presume you have proof?
More than enough.
Asa, send my son to me.
Father, you sent for me?
Yes, Aristobulus. I have news. Upsetting news.
Bad news has a way of coming to this palace.
And what does that mean, son?
The news you spoke of, what is it?
A band of rebels attacked one of my strongholds. We captured one of them. And under persuasion, he gave us certain information. Valuable information. If it didn't appear so ridiculous.
He talked.
He talked indeed. He said you were one of them.
Oh?
Is it true?
Yes, it's true.
Treason against your king is bad enough. Treason against your father.
Treason and tyranny have a way of going together, Father.
I'll take no reproaches from you. You talk like the fool that you are. And I've permitted you to have your own way long enough. You've got to realize your responsibilities. You're heir to my throne.
It may not be as much of a legacy as you think, Father.
What does that mean?
You're giving away something you don't have. Rome has lent you this kingdom, and Rome can take it away.
I'll take care of Rome.
And who'll take care of the people? For they can take your throne away, too.
I refuse to listen to such talk any longer.
A truth is a truth, whether men listen to it or not.
Now you listen to me. Rome is powerful. Rome rules the world. No one dares stand against them. I'm trying to keep you from making some foolish mistake that might cost you your life.
And what good is my life if I can't risk it for a cause in which I believe?
You call that a cause? To protect the Jews against Rome? Are they your people? Why take risks for them?
Any people is my people. And its troubles are mine.
Aristobulus, I order you to discontinue your treacherous actions. Look, son, you can travel, visit foreign lands, even Rome itself. Do anything you please, but stay out of trouble.
The life of royal exile doesn't appeal to me. I must go on doing what I've been doing, even though it means your death or mine.
I command you to be quiet.
You may have quiet by crying out commands to your servants, but you can't command the people to be quiet. And when your conscience cries out, command that to be quiet, too.
Conscience? You are a boy, aren't you?
And you, Father, are a poor, miserable shadow of a man.
You shouldn't have said that. Now, get out! And think over what I've said!
Your Majesty has spoken to your son?
Yes, they son.
Does he admit his guilt?
Admit it. He boasts of it.
A young, impetuous prince. He could cause trouble. A great deal of trouble.
I know.
And the way gossip travels these days in Israel, it might become known.
You mean that Herod is weak? He refuses to punish his own son.
It could be said.
It could be said. It will be said.
In Rome, too, perhaps?
You're very clever, Asa. You know my every thought.
And you know the Romans, Majesty. They'd be the first to say that Herod is a weakling. The strong warrior of old now can't even manage his own son. How can he manage Judea?
I know.
Well, I was only exploring the possibilities. We must look ahead.
I'm looking ahead, too, Asa. This is something I can't risk. Asa?
Of course, Majesty. There's no other way.
You think so, too?
It will remove the greatest obstacle you have. But it must be done subtly.
It will. I have an idea.
An idea?
We must give a party, Asa. His Majesty invites a few well-chosen friends to a party in honor of his son.
In honor of his son? I don't understand.
You said it would have to be done subtly. It will. Now, arrange the party. It must take place out in the garden, near the pool.
Yes, Majesty.
And all this, my son, is to show you that I don't harbor any grudges against you.
You mean...
I mean that your father is not the tyrant you think he is. He respects your opinion and the strength with which you voice it. Although back in his mind, the old warrior feels he's stronger than you are.
They say you're still one of the strongest of men.
They say I am. And if you don't believe that, let me show you. Stand up, son.
But why?
I'll show you how strong I am. Some hand wrestling.
Please, Father, at a party?
I feel I've been challenged. I can't refuse. My friends, a little sport to begin the evening. My son has challenged me to the hand wrestle, and I have accepted. Now then, clear a space. Come on, son, out here. Take your stand.
Father, please, you're too old.
Too old? That's exactly what I'm going to prove I'm not. Hold out your hand. Come now.
All right, Father.
Now we clasp hands and start.
The prince is strong. Look, the prince is budging. And he recovered nicely, didn't he? Look there, the king is giving way.
You did it, son. You did it. I didn't know you were that strong.
You're all right, Father. I didn't hurt you.
Hurt me? Just because I'm perspiring a little? You don't know your own father.
But the exertion...
Nothing that a cold plunge into the pool won't remedy. And then each man shall retire to his room where servants are waiting to rub them down with fine oil and freshen them with rare perfume. Then the banquet itself.
Of course, Father. Exactly what I need.
Good. Into the pool, then. And everyone, come, join us. Asa?
Yes, Majesty.
The room is ready?
I've appointed the man myself. A big man with large, muscular hands.
My son's no weakling.
The man I picked will do the job. Once Aristobulus goes into that room, once he lies down on the couch, he's as good as dead.
Everything is ready, then. Come, Aristobulus. Time to be anointed and perfumed. Come.
Shall I lead him into the room?
Yes. And the strangler had better do his job well.
There, Joseph. That's the story of the tyrant Herod. The kind of man he is. Murderer of his own son. Doesn't that make you want to go to Judea and help us fight against the man?
It's unbelievable.
I could tell you more, too. But that should be enough. Well, Joseph, will you join with us? We could use a strong man like you. A man with skill.
His own son?
Yes. The son is dead. One of the servants who was there is a member of my own band. He swears to every word of it. Well, what do you say?
We must have faith, Samuel.
Is that all you have to say? Well, I'm through with bowing down to an alien king placed over Judea by the Romans.
Are you through with faith, too, Samuel?
Faith? Yes, I'm through with faith. Can faith shield you from the tyrant's sword? Tell that to the dead of Israel whom the Romans have killed. No, extravagant, cruel, despotic Herod lives on Israel's blood. And you want me to have faith.
Our people have come through other evils before. We'll outlive this one, too.
Don't be too sure. Just because Herod doesn't rule in Galilee yet doesn't mean he won't reach out for power here, too. After all, Judea, Galilee, they're both part of Israel. No, Joseph. We have a choice between two faiths. Revolution or destruction.
It would seem that the time must come soon.
The time to fight? It's here already.
I didn't mean that.
What other time can be so important?
The time for the third way. Neither destruction nor revolution. He was promised when the hour was darkest.
He? Whom do you mean?
The Messiah.
Messiah?
Yes. Samuel, you're forgetting God's place in all this. The same Jehovah who led our people through the desert with a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. If times are difficult, We must never forget that the same Jehovah has promised that the Messiah will come and deliver Israel.
For too long we've been promised a Messiah, and he's never come. We must fight now, Joseph. Don't you see? No other way can prevail against the planned and calculated tyranny of the Romans. Herod must be driven from Israel, and fighting is the only way to do it.
And fighting is bloodshed, killing. No.
Joseph, somehow freedom is such that human blood must always be part of it. And as long as blood must flow, let it be the tyrant's blood, Herod's blood. Join us, Joseph.
I know I'm just a plain man, a carpenter. I know little of these things. But my way is the way of peace and faith. I have faith it will happen. The Messiah will come.
When? How? Answer me that.
How? The prophet Isaiah tells us. He shall be born of a virgin, and shall not be the son of any man, but of God. When? I should have to be gifted with the divine knowledge of a prophet to know that. But I'm content to wait.
And some of us aren't. We know what the answer should be. But it's not the Messiah. Can he help throw off the yoke of the Romans or of Herod?
If you mean, is the Messiah to come to us as a general leading great armies? No, I don't think so.
Then what chance will he stand against Herod? Herod would think no more of destroying your Messiah than he did of killing his own son. Anything that stands between Herod and his throne must die. And that goes for Messiahs, too.
That's no way to talk, Samuel.
I'm sorry, Joseph. I know how dear the belief is to you.
To all Israel.
Not to all Israel. For some of us have decided on action. This prediction of the prophets that a Messiah will come. It could be a mere legend handed down, a tale born in time of stress and brought to light to keep up hope in other times of trouble. Joseph, I don't believe it.
Oh, Samuel. I didn't want to hear that. Not from you.
It's said, and I don't retract it. Think, Joseph. Maybe you will join us.
No, Samuel. And I give you my answer for two reasons.
Two?
One, that I know the way can't be through bloodshed and killing.
And the other?
Somehow, my future is here in Nazareth.
You love the place so much?
It's not the place. It's a strange sense connected in some way with a maiden.
A maiden? You, Joseph? After all these years, you're not so young anymore.
You may laugh when I tell you.
Why should I laugh? If it's important to you, Joseph, I'd like to hear it. Who has a better right? Who's a closer friend to you?
No one. Since we were boys together and played games in the hills of Galilee, you've been the only one I could talk to about the feelings that go on inside me. Now, there's this maiden. And I haven't been able to talk to anyone else about her.
Joseph, you've fallen in love.
I don't know if anything like this has ever happened before.
Every man feels the same when he falls in love for the first time.
You must understand. She's so very different. This maiden is unlike any I've ever seen before.
It's a man's privilege to suppose that when he falls in love.
It must be more than that.
But what makes you think there's no other like her?
I've never seen one.
And you've never been to Jerusalem either. There are thousands of women there, fair and dark, tall and short, with different kinds of beauty. Surely among them there must be one who can compare with this maiden you speak of?
No, Samuel, no. There is no other like her.
That's the talk of a lovesick boy. Not a grown man like yourself.
Now you're laughing at me, Samuel.
Forgive me, Joseph. But it's impossible for me to believe that any one maiden could be so different from all others.
This one is. When she walks, it's like the walk of angels, so light and graceful. And when she smiles, the sun seems dark by comparison. And her eyes, there's deep understanding there and compassion. And a soul so great, all else seems small.
For you to feel that way, Joseph, that is unusual. But tell me, how does she feel about you?
I don't know.
You never talk to her about the way you feel?
I've never talked to her at all.
And yet you know all this about her?
Does that strike you strange?
That's impossible. How can you know anyone so well without having had a word pass between you?
You can see it. At least I can see it. It's all within her.
Surely, Joseph. Now you must be joking.
No, Samuel.
I've never heard of any such thing. Never expected you would talk that way.
Would you like to see for yourself?
Indeed, I would.
Well, you can. It's almost time now for her to take her daily walk down to the well to fetch water. Come. We'll stand in the doorway of my shop, and you can see her as I've seen her every day now.
I've seen many women, but none who ever lived could be as fair or good as you say this one is.
Come.
Joseph, I don't know.
Wait. Look, here she comes now.
From here, she looks like any other maiden in Nazareth.
Not to me.
I will say that she appears to be more graceful than any other.
Such grace as I've imagined queens must have.
Yes. And her face. Her face. Joseph, she is truly beautiful. Most beautiful.
Quiet. She passes now.
Joseph, there is something about her. Feeling I can't describe. It's not her graceful walk, or her lovely face, or even her eyes, which have such depth and feeling. Joseph, I don't know what it is, but there's something about that maiden that I shall never forget.
And that's the way I feel. And the feeling has grown greater with every day.
Now I understand, Joseph. I'm sorry for what I said before. Joseph, tell me, don't you even know her name?
Her name? Her name is Marian.
This has been And Her Name Was Mary, another episode in the greatest story ever told, from the greatest life ever lived. This program was the first in a special series of 5 to be presented this week through the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.